Sir, can we start?
Of course.
Sharika?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can start.
Okay, sir. Good evening, all. It's my pleasure to welcome you all present here for the 86th webinar series organized by IEEE Malabar Subsection in association with IEEE Malabar Hub and IEEE Student Branch KMCT CW. I welcome our eminent speaker, Mr. Sasi PM, Chair IEEE Malabar Subsection, Dr. Sabik, and all the participants to today's session. Mr. Sasi PM did his BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering from TKM College of Engineering under Kerala University in 1982. He completed his Master in Technology in Applied Electronics and Instrumentation from CET in 1992. He is a member of the Board of Directors, Kerala State Electronics Development Corporation Limited, Keltron 2019. He is also a member of the Technology Development and Adaptation Committee, Kerala State Council for Science, Technology and Environment, KSCST 2019. He served as chair IEEE Kerala session during the years 2009 and 2010. Moreover, Mr. Sasi is a recipient of IEEE Communication Society Award for Public Services in Telecommunications, the second Indian to be selected for the award 2011, and IEEE Outstanding Volunteer Award for the year 2030, Asia Pacific. He has published 9 research papers published in international conference and has delivered several talks all over India. He has led and organized 9 international and 12 national conferences. He was member of the Strategic Planning Committee, IEEE Communication Society, and Vice Chair of Conference Activities, IEEE Communication Society Asia Pacific 2014, and Technical Activities, IEEE Communication Society Asia Pacific 2012 to 2013. It's my great pleasure to invite Mr. Sasi PM for today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. I will share my screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we will be discussing on the future of jobs. But before going to the future of jobs, we yeah. We will look at the past on the evolution of work, on the evolution of jobs, how the automation supported the mass employment, and how the specialization came and all those kind of things. In early stages of human civilization, work was confined to 3 things. One is food, one is shelter, and the third is childcare. Now, the division of labor was based on the proficiency, like whoever is good in hunting animals, they used to hunt animals, or who has been physically fit for hunting animals, they went for hunting animals. And then the others went for gathering plants for food, and others took care of their child, and some of them took care of the cooking and things like that. So at that time, there was a sexual division of labor based on the physical differences. Like hunting animals, you know, it requires a lot of physical strength, stamina, etc. So that those kind of jobs were left to men, and jobs like cooking was left to women. And the first specialization of work was in the making of tools and weapons, the metallic tools and weapons. Now, after a certain time, there were a lot of projects which, we called projects at this point of time, but at that point of time, it was not projects. Some activities like irrigation activities, etc., came, which required mass labor, which led to the creation of organizations, coordination of the works, the hierarchy in the organization, the specializations, various specializations in the activities being done by different people. And then came the trading because of all these things, because of the irrigation, etc. There were a lot of farm products. So if I had a lot of excess products, I had to trade that to somebody else. Those kind of things came later. Commerce activity started, which created more jobs and again more specializations, like those who are specialized in trading, those who were specialized in communications, those who are specialized in commerce, in coordination, all those kind of specializations came there. And then social classes were also formed based on the nature of works. Like priests were knowledgeable. There was the social class known as priests. They were knowledgeable. They were good in mathematics. They had they used to undertake the administrative kind of works, etc. Those were the priests, and they were higher in the social echelon. And then came the traders, merchants, etc., as the next class of in the social ladder. And in the last was artisans, peasants in the next social status. Now, this is predominantly in the European situation. And in India also, you are aware that there was a similar kind of a social classes, formation of social classes, which we called the Brahmanas. Priests were called as Brahmanas, traders and merchants as Vaishyas, artisans, peasants, etc., as Shudras. And there was one more class in India, which is called the Kshatriyas, basically who did all those fighting, the soldiers. Now, the formation of work systems, technological innovations in agriculture, power, transportation, metallurgy, these came at a later point of time. These created new forms of specialization. And then there came the regulation of working conditions and processes. This was done during the medieval period, which is from 5th to 15th century. And then all those kind of things which we have very clearly defined today, or some of them not even today clearly defined, but there were preliminary definitions at that point of time itself. There was a definition on wages, on the hours of working, on tools and techniques to be defined, to be used, quality standards, prices, all those things were set, which is marvelous. 5th to 15th century, these things, at least there was an attempt to standardize these things, to define these kind of things. And the first employer-employee arrangement started during this period. Now the mass production started. Some of the human labor was replaced by machines. Machines are not those machines which we see today, but the textile mills, the mining activities, post-processing on the mining activities, etc., where there were a lot of human labor required, which was reduced because of the machines which came for these things, the textile mills, etc. And then during the Industrial Revolution, which came later, new machines were introduced, huge factories were formed, productivity increased drastically, because till that time, it was more of manual labor, but with huge factories. Many of the things could be automized, and then the factory output became so large and the productivity improved drastically. And this demanded a rational organization of job functions. Mass production and assembly line started. Each employee was assigned a specific task only. And a specific task means in the mass assembly line, possibly, I don't know whether you have seen the Charlie Chaplin movie on, I don't remember the name, where his role, he's an employee he's a worker in the assembly line, and his role is to tighten the nuts, so using a spanner. So every now and then he does like this, even if it is outside his the working hours, he will go something like this. So each employee was assigned a specific task. And increasing complexity of operations resulted in creation of specialized management level employment, accounting, engineering, IT, R&D, HR, marketing, sales, etc., which is again a later point of time, 19th, 20th century. Now, agriculture was the major employment sector up to 18th century. Agrarian, you would have heard about agrarian economy, industrial economy, service economy, etc. So till the 18th century, it was agrarian. Most of the countries were, or almost all the countries were of agrarian economy status. And then the industrial employment overtook the agricultural employment in the 19th century. By 21st century, services sector became the fastest growing employment sector in advanced economics. So all these are services like teachers, doctors, engineers, IT professionals, business executives, taxi drivers, employees in hospitality sector, office plus. All these are part of the services sector. Sector which is not directly engaged in production. These are called the these sectors are called the service sector. Now, the term automation was coined by Ford Motor Company in 1940s. At that time, the term automation envisaged automatic handling of parts in metal working process. There were a lot of metal processes in the Ford Motor Company. So, and a lot of those handling parts were automized, and that process was called automation. And many people anticipated that use of computers in automation will lead to mass unemployment, which came later, but which was proved to be false. There were a lot of displacement of jobs, but new opportunities were created for each of the lost jobs. So some of the jobs were lost, but at that point of time, a lot of other opportunities were created, other jobs were created. So the concept that computers or automation will lead to mass unemployment was proved to be false, which is again true today. And later automation was introduced in many more jobs. CAD/CAM, computer-aided design and computer-aided manufacturing, helped automation in industrial production substantially. Integrated information processing systems has eliminated many jobs, like the telegraph. Possibly the youngsters would not have even seen a telegraph. Telex. I don't think any of the youngsters would have seen the telex operations. So these were some of the major communication mechanisms, possibly about 40 years back, 40 to 50 years back. Then STD ISD booths, very predominant those days, maybe about even 20 years back, but not to be seen these days. Typewriting, I don't think anybody uses typewriting these days. Internet kiosks, telephone operators, film processing, all those things are either gone or going gradually. Now, we'll come to the impact of COVID-19. The major impact of COVID-19 in the day-to-day operations of everybody was that digital process has been part and parcel of our lives, whether it is the individual or it is an organization or it is a country. The major impact has been that everybody is going for digital activities. So there's a lot of online entertainment. It's not that online entertainment was not there even before, but the proportion of online entertainment on the total entertainment has gone up drastically. Online games, online delivery. Before COVID-19, the online delivery was still very limited, but now I would say that by default the delivery has become online delivery. That is a kind of, at least in the cities and towns. Online payment has gone up drastically. Online office. Many of you who are working would be working from home, not from the office, physical office. Online meetings. I don't think there is any physical meetings these days. Even if it is there, it's hardly 5% or even less than that of the earlier number of meetings. And then there has been some positive impact of COVID also in some of the sectors like communications. Communications for work from home, for online delivery, all those activities which we have discussed in the previous slide, all those things require robust communication mechanism. So communication is an area. Communications is an area where there has been substantial improvement during the COVID-19 epidemic. And then the video conferencing. There are a lot of even this Zoom, which is not even heard before the COVID-19 days. The Zoom, over which we are communicating today. Video conferencing, online education. I don't think anybody would have dreamt about a class 1 student, first standard student attending online online training, online classes using his mobile, his or her mobile or laptop or tab, etc. Before the COVID-19. But now everybody, the nursery, LKG, UKG, everybody is on the on the online education using mobile phones or laptops, etc. Medical research that has gone drastically. Especially for the COVID research. Telemedicine, because people are afraid to go to the doctors, not afraid of doctors, but they may have COVID from the hospital, etc. So telemedicine also has been on the increase. Technology, in general, technology has grown drastically during these days. Then there are certain sectors which have been affected very badly, like the travel, the tourism, hospitality, oil and gas, real estate, luxury goods, all those things, these have been affected very badly. In fact, there was a point when the oil was available at negative cost. That means that if you take away oil from the either from the refinery or from the tanks, you will be paid for that. That was a kind of situation, because there was nobody to take oil, because there was no travel, and then they cannot reduce the production all of a sudden. So the production is going on, the oil is coming, but there is no place to store that, because there is no offtake from the tank. So there was a point of time where oil was the cost of the oil, the price of oil was negative. And then the work from home came. It was something like a switched situation. I mean, all those who were working were given not even 24 hours of notice that tomorrow onwards or day after tomorrow onwards we will be working from home. So it was a hell of a lot of activities during that time to make all those computers, to take all those computers, the communication devices, network devices, etc. home, set up all those devices, and then start working from home. And then it is not that you need to work from home. You can work from anywhere. Only thing is that you need to have a robust communication mechanism, and then of course you need to have your laptop or whatever for working. And then of course there has been some security restrictions, especially for the IT service providers, etc. The security conditions which are set by the clients, but otherwise it is work from anywhere. And many large firms have committed to extended work from home. Many of the companies have, in fact, the TCS has said that by 25, they'll be working on only 25%, 2000 by 2025, only 25% of the work people, their employees will be working from their offices. All the remaining 75% will be working from anywhere, either home or anywhere. That is the situation. And many of the firms have taken similar decisions. And the most beautiful thing is that productivity has not been affected in many of the cases. I won't say 100% of the cases, but at least in the case of IT industry, I know that productivity has been increased in some of the cases. But there has been challenges, especially in the early days of uninterrupted power, connectivity issues, etc., especially in the rural area. I am also talking from a rural area now. I don't know whether my network connectivity will go. So be prepared for such an eventuality. And then work home balance has been an issue which we will not discuss here. And then after the COVID-19 issue, there has been a lot of focus on the business continuity plan. The business has to go on in spite of, irrespective of whatever happens in between, whether it is an epidemic or whether it is a natural calamity, the business should continue. That was the major lesson, even though business continuity plan has been there from right from the start of the business, the industry. But business continuity plan has taken a major stress point, focus point during the or even after the COVID-19 strike, because the centralized operations has been found to be a business risk. All the operations are limited to a centralized area, then if something happens to that centralized area, or if people cannot go to the centralized area, you cannot do business. So people thought about distributed operations, companies exploring smaller facilities which are closer to the employees, so that employees will find it's easier to work, they'll feel comfortable to work, and then the work will not be affected in case of any kind of obstacles like calamities or situations like an epidemic or pandemic. And availability of local talent is no more a concern, because you can work from here for a company which is in Korea or China or Japan or US or Europe. I mean, the local or the geographic division is no more there because of the advances in the communication mechanisms. And then there has been a lot of stress on the real estate sector because of all these things. Now, another thing which was there even earlier was that activities requiring law and technology will be replaced by computers and robots. That is a learning, the learning or the lesson which we have received from the COVID-19. Because in the law and technologies, there has been a lot of competition, very high competition. And because of that, the margins in the law and technologies is very, very small. Whereas in the high technology activities, number one, there is low competition and you have a larger margin because of that. And the continuous updation of technology base is required. Continuous upskilling of employees is required. So that brought about the knowledge economy, even though the term knowledge economy was even earlier. Everybody has been forced to digitalize their activities. Whatever you do will have a digital means in that. Even when you read the newspapers or the news articles, you can see that every crime, the police or the law enforcement activities are going for digital evidences these days. Because the digital traces, whatever you do, you will be on the mobile phone possibly 50% of your time. So a mobile phone or your laptop. So whatever you do will have a trace on the digital means, either the mobile phone, you will be doing, you'll be sending messages, you will be making calls, you'll be traveling, which will be tracked in the map and things like that. So, and if you take 8 out of the top 10 companies in the world in market capitalization, like Apple, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Alibaba, Tencent, everybody is using technology. Everybody is using information technology or some other technology. Using technology and tools is the most cost-effective way of doing business. Now we will come to the organizational structure of what will be the organizational structure of the future. It is, I mean, in fact, there are two thoughts of stream of thoughts. One school of thought says that the larger organization will continue to rule the world. The Googles and Microsofts and IBMs will rule the world. Facebooks will rule the world. That is one argument. But the other argument, the more stronger argument, is that smaller arguments will be the order of the day. And the formation of the organizations will be amoeba-like, which will amoeba, you know, it doesn't have any physical shape, any defined physical shape. The shape changes very frequently. So it is said that the future organizations will also be amoeba-like, where the shape of the organization will change depending upon the demand. If there is a demand for a certain activity, certain area of activity, that area will be strengthened. So there will be a bubble there. And if there is a lull of activity, a low demand activity, that activity will be dismantled. So that will be gone. So more and more areas, more and more bubbles will be added, and more and more bubbles will be taken off. So the organizations will be dynamic all the time. It will not have a fixed shape. And outsourcing and contract deployment will be preferred, because no organization will be able to commit a long-term employment for you. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, etc. It is gone. Who will be able to tell that this organization will last for 30 years, 40 years, etc. So the future organizations will look for the either outsourcing or contract employment, which will be preferred. But there will be certain a small percentage of what we call the regular employment, or a continuous employment. And there will be recruitment as well as retrenchment as per requirement. And the floor plan, there will not be any fixed floor plans. Everything will be flexible. I had gone to the Cisco office in Bangalore about 7 years back. I think it is in 2014. And it was amazing. When you enter there were, I think at that point of time, there were huge towers, Cisco towers, 8 of them or 10 of them. And when we enter the tower, there's a huge screen there, and it's a touch screen, and each of them will have a number of rows, the rows and columns, where the seats are shown. So if you want a seat, each of the departments will be shown, and the department seats will be shown. So if you want a specific seat, you have to reserve that, and then that will be reserved for you, and then you can go. And you, BYOD, you have to bring your own device to the organization. The organization will not provide you any thing. There will be a desk, a table. Then you go to the table, you connect your device, your laptop, the network, and then you are through. You can work. That is a kind of situation. It was there even earlier, but now in the future, those things will be the order of the day. And the best workplaces will be quiet locations selected by the workers. Even today, there are certain resorts who offer work from work for offices, work near home or whatever they call. And there will be less of hierarchy in the future. Work will thrive in teams, not in the boss subordinate relationships. And workplaces will have healthier environments. Most of them will have music, relaxation areas, sleeping rooms, pets at work, etc. In fact, again, maybe about 8 years back, I had gone to the Google office that also in Bangalore, where I had seen similar situation, because people, the employees, where some of them were in the TT table, some of them have been playing shuttle and things like that. And there is a small room, a small theater actually, and some of them were watching a movie, etc. So I asked the GM there, how do you manage the work? How do you ensure that these people work for you? And his question, he asked me a question back. Do you know how many people are working with Google? I said, I knew at that point of time it was something like 52,000 or so. And then he asked again, you know how many people are working with TCS? I said, I don't know. He said 2 lakhs or something at that point of time. And then he asked me, who makes a difference in the common lives or in general common man's life? Is it Google or TCS? I said, in my life, definitely it is Google, which makes a difference. And then he said, yes, your answer answers your question, because we are only 52,000, but we are making impact in the people's life much more than anybody else, which means that the productivity of Google is much more. So he also told me that I don't care whether they are coming at 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and whether they are going at 5 o'clock. I don't care. I have given them a work, and I have provided all facilities here by which he or she will not like to go out from here. That is the situation I have created here. And then I will look at the work, maybe weekly review or monthly review or quarterly review, etc. And that's all. And we don't have any issue with the productivity. So this is the kind of situation which possibly you will be having in the future. And you will not find any physical desk. Employees can park anywhere, at home or anywhere else, and then they can create the virtual office space there in front of their eyes. That will be the situation. And that is not the situation possibly in the very long future. This is projected to be the 2030 situation, 2030 situation, which is only 8 years from now. And almost all employees will take support of robotic helpers to go through mails, etc. And then virtual meetings will be through virtual or augmented reality. And business models are also changing. Business houses these days are exploring options to reduce capex, because especially after the COVID-19, people definitely there has been an uncertainty on the business future. So people didn't know what is going to be in the future, 1 year from now, 2 years from now, etc. So everybody was trying to avoid long-term commitments. And one of the mechanisms to avoid long-term commitment is to go for a rental model or a revenue sharing model, where you can go for faster growth, because you don't have to own anything. You can rent, or you can have others resources on a sharing model. Like for example, Uber or Ola, they don't own a vehicle, but they provide you the transportation. Zomato or Swiggy, They don't own restaurants, but they provide you food. They reserve. I mean, you can reserve food and then they deliver food. Oyo or hotel.com, etc. They don't own any hotels, but they provide you the hotel rooms. Make my trip or whatever, etc. They provide for your transportation. Amazon, anything like that. I mean, there is a large number of uh, examples these days where people are not in owning anything, but they take things are on, and the cloud, definitely cloud is a major I would say innovation these days, because at any point of time, of course I'm coming I have a slide on that. At any point of time you need to increase your resources, your computing resources drastically. You can go for cloud, you can go to cloud, and at any point of time you can increase, or at any point of time you can reduce, etc. So rental model and revenue sharing model is on the increase. And talking about the nature of job in the future, the mundane repetitive task will be automated. There is no doubt about that. The process has already started and this will go on increasing. But these employees will have to take more strategic roles, more higher level roles. Some of the jobs will disappear, but new jobs will appear, so that there will not be any question of losing jobs. Whoever loses job, only thing is that they will have to learn newer areas, then new jobs will appear. Freelancing will be on the rise. Freelancing, you might have heard about the freelancing exchanges, Upwork and things like that, freelance.com and things like that, where the freelancer will not be attached to any organization. Whenever, I mean, from the exchange, I find out, if I am a freelancer, I find out what is the kind of activity which is suitable for me, which will fit my expertise, level of my expertise. So if there is a certain job, I will bid for that job, I take that job and I complete. And there is no specific attachment to an organization. This attachment, this job, you can take on a hourly basis or a daily basis, or as a lump sum amount, as a total activity thing. But beyond that, you don't have any attachment with your organization. And once that is over, you can take rest, or you can you can move around. You can go to some of these places, see some of the places, and then come back and then do the next job, etc. So the freelancing has been on the rise in the early days. I mean, in these days, and then in the future, it will be on the rise. And rapidly advancing technology makes job demand change frequently, which means that frequent reskilling will be a necessity. I'll again talk about it in a later slide. Employee may not even see the organization. My son is working with, of course, he was in US but came back to India. He is working with an organization for the last 4 months. He has not seen that organization. And possibly I was telling him today that he may, possibly if he is resigning within another year or so, possibly you may resign from the organization without seeing the organization that he is working for. So that is maybe that is a situation that you may come across in the future. And jobs are shifting from metros. In earlier days, everybody was flocking to the metros. Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Delhi, etc. And nobody was ready to come to smaller towns and like our Kozhikode or Kochi. Of course, there was some this thing. Trivandrum, Kochi and Trivandrum, there was some movement. But otherwise, in other cities, there has not been much attraction to the job seekers. But those are changing these days. People are coming to T2, T3 cities, or even the villages where you can have fresh air, and you don't have to hurry for your travel and things like that. And in the future, you definitely will be co-working with machines. You will be working with robots or any other machines. There is no doubt about it. And some of the jobs may be replaced, and some of the roles new jobs may emerge. And the job interviews in the future, you may not have to do much in the job interview because everything is there in the digital domain. Whenever you do, whenever you send something on the WhatsApp or you post something on your Facebook or Instagram, etc., your profiling is done by somebody. Your nature, your quality of work, your quality of thinking, etc., is being profiled by some AI tools somewhere. And there will be a credit score for your skills, which will either be automatically done or there will be some mechanism for this. And selecting the right brain will be possibly will be done through wearable devices which can measure your various activities, and then select the right and the testing the job performance can also be done virtually. Now, see the half-life of some of the technologies. Half-life, by half-life, what is meant is that the time period by which 50% of the technology will be obsolete or not used. That is the half-life. So some of the technologies, some of the latest technologies, the half-life is as low as 12 months, which means that whatever you study, whatever you, I mean, some of the technology which has been emerged today, 50% of that will be obsolete by end of the 12th month, some of the technologies. So that is a kind of obsolescence which is coming, which means that the long duration courses will not equip you to be relevant in the job for many years. And frequent reskilling is a must. Because in the earlier days, you thought that, or I thought, or maybe my predecessors thought that I learned for maybe 20 years or 18 years, etc. I study and then I'm ready for the work. I don't have to study again for my work. But that is not going to be the case in the future. You can learn and then work and then work, learn, work, like that. There is no question of a long learn cycle and a long work cycle. It is learn, work, like that. You will have to frequently reskill your activities. And then short-term courses will be on demand. MOOC, massively open online courses will be the mode of preferred learning. And governments will have to have strategic workforce planning. It's going to be very, very, very critical. Companies will also have to have strategic workforce planning, and labor market will not be able to supply required talents. Even today, there is a lot of competition among the companies to attract talents, which is going to be very, very difficult in the future years. And the future skills which will be of high demand. Number one, or definitely, of course, higher cognitive skills. Your learning, your understanding, fast learning capabilities, etc. Your thinking capabilities, advanced literacy, including computer literacy, critical thinking, whys and hows and those kind of things. Critical thinking, quantitative analysis based on the available data, statistical skills, technological skills, and also the social and emotional skills, which is not a major skill of demand in the earlier days. By social and emotional skills, what is meant is by these your self-awareness, your creativity, your resilience, and things like that, which the details are. I'm not going to the details. And the major thing is that innovation is going to be the key. Only innovative companies will succeed in future. Why did Facebook or Twitter or Google or Microsoft succeed? Because all of them were very, very innovative. If you see their IPRs, the intellectual property rights, their patents, etc., there's a huge repertoire of patents with them. So only innovative companies will succeed in future. IPs, intellectual property rights, will decide the future of companies. Successful companies will have strong R&D base so that they will be equipped. They'll be equipped with the latest technologies by the R&D people. an environment of creativity, innovation to be created in the companies. All the companies will have to create. Many of the companies currently have I won't say many, but some of the companies have environment of creativity, innovation today. But tomorrow, all the companies will have to create the environment of creativity and innovation. And start a strong association with the startups and academia is going to be inevitable for any industry. And these are some of the technologies which will be, these are the technologies as on today. It may not be the case maybe a year from now, 2 years from now. Today, these are some of the technologies which would be of importance in the coming years. I will not go into the details like artificial intelligence and machine learning. Artificial learning definitely is going to have a major impact not only on the industry, on everybody's life. So these two and robotic process automation. These will affect in two ways. One is that many of you will have to learn robotic process automation during your activities. And then the other thing is that the robotic process automation will also automate many of the mundane repetitive tasks which is being done today. IoT, Internet of Things, which are being used in a lot of applications, smart city, agricultural, transportation, smart energy, etc. Again, I'll not go into detail. 5G and beyond. 5G is going to have major impact in many of the things, not only because of the high data rate. It is because of the low and predictable latency, which is not there in any of the earlier Gs. So low and predictable latency. So which means that 5G you'll be able to use 5G in mission critical applications, which was not possible with any of the technologies. G technologies, 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G technologies. Then the 5G will be used in massive IoT, surveillance, etc. So this is expected to add $13.2 trillion US dollars to global economic output by 2035 and 22.3 million jobs by 2035, which is definitely a huge thing. Industry 4.0 is also coming. Basically, the next level of industry where all these things will be the computing power, the communication power, the IoTs, the integration of IoTs, the robots, evolution of the robots, everything together will take industry to the next level, which is called the Industry 4.0. Like cloud computing, I told you, this is one of the most important technology which has made computing to the Janata level, to the common man's level. Because earlier you used to have you need to have your own computing power, computing resources. If you had to have your own R&D, your own startup or whatever. But now you don't have to have anything. You just need to have a laptop or even a mobile. Other things you can get from the cloud at any point of time. You need to pay only for whatever you use for the time that you are using and the amount, the resource that you are using, and you can have rapid scaling. Blockchain. Some of the people say that blockchain is not going to be a major technology, but as of now, yes, it is a major technology. Some of the applications being the cryptocurrency, etc. But cryptocurrency is only one of the application of blockchain. It has a lot of other applications also which are being used, like revenue records, money transaction, trade, etc. And data is the king. This is a major thing. Like you can see the major companies in terms of market capitalization: Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Facebook, etc. These are the world's largest companies in terms of market capitalization. And what is in common with them? All these companies are operating on data, which means that if a company is to be up and running or has to be counted in the future, you need to have a lot of data with you. You need to have big data analytics, DL and ML. All those things require large amount of data. And not only data, but you need to have the technologies and for processing the data and presenting the data beautifully. And who is the owner of the data? Because you and I are providing data to these companies every day using our mobile, I mean, the WhatsApps and Facebooks and everything, even your cameras or your travel. Google is mapping wherever you are traveling. All these data go to different agencies, and these applications in their agreement, where you say that I agree, there will be in small letters written that I permit the company to use my data for these things, etc. So in the future, the ownership of data is going to be evolved, because my data will be my data, and if I can share the data, but at my terms, and there will be personal data brokers in the future, where who will take the data, my data or somebody else's data, your data, etc., and then make it available for some other companies at our terms. I mean, maybe we'll be paid for that. And definitely startups are going to be the future. Most IT majors, those companies that you have just seen, the Facebook and Apple and all those things, they started as startups. So in the future also, you might have heard that in India there are, I think, 70 companies which has $1 billion revenue, capital valuation as of now. 70 startups. So that is a major thing. In fact, all the high technology countries have strong startup ecosystem, and India has a strong startup ecosystem, which is the third largest in the world. Kerala has more than 3,000 startups. This is about 6 months back. I don't know the current figures. And more than 30,000 people are employed by startups in Kerala. And many large IT companies are looking to startups. Not only IT companies, many large companies are looking to startups for their R&D activities, because they find that their cost of doing these R&D activities is very, very high. But the cost of the startups for doing the same kind of thing, same kind of R&D, is very, very low. So companies are outsourcing their activities. Many of the companies are outsourcing their R&D activities to the small startups, which is going to be very cost effective. I mean, some of them give it to 3-4 startups, and whichever gives them the best solution, they take that. And these are some of the technology. I hope that you can see this share, the slide. These are the technologies likely to be adopted, and this is a slide by World Economic Forum. There is their report, Future of Job Survey 2020. It is advisable to the students that you go through this survey, Future of Job Survey 2020 by World Economic Forum, which is freely available, which is a huge document which talks about. Of course, this came just before the COVID, but still there has been a lot of modifications which is done on the report. So you can see that cloud computing is a major. About 90% of the companies will be adopting cloud computing by 2025. Big data analytics, almost the same. Internet of Things and connected devices, encryption and cyber security, artificial intelligence, text, image, and voice processing, e-commerce and digital trade, robots, non-humanoid robots, augmented and virtual reality, distributed ledger technology, 3D and 4D printing, power storage, new materials, biotechnology, robots, humanoid robots, quantum computing, etc. So these are the kind of technologies which is going to be used by the industry in the future. This is 3 years from now, not very far off. And the job roles of the future. This is again by the World Economic Forum. They gave 20 jobs which will be increasing in demand in the future, and 20 other jobs which will be decreasing in demand. You can see all those things, like those on the left side. These are increasing in demand, like data analyst, scientist, AI and machine learning, big data specialist, digital marketing strategy specialist, process automation specialist, business development professionals, digital transformation, information security specialists, software and application developers, Internet of Things specialists, project managers, business services and admin managers, database network professionals, robotics engineers, strategic advisors, management and organizational analysts, fintech, financial technology engineers, mechanics and machinery repairs, organizational development, risk management specialists. One thing I didn't see here is educational technology, which is again coming up drastically. Cloud, I think it has come. Yeah, cloud possibly. And decrease in demand, data entry operators, admin and executive secretaries, accounting, payroll employees, accountants, auditors, because these are going to be automated. Assembly and factory workers will be automated. Business services, admin managers, customer service workers, general operations managers, machinery repairs, stock keeping and recording employees, financial analysts, because AI will take these jobs, postal service employees, sales reps, relationship managers, bank tellers, door-to-door salespersons, electronics and telecom repairers, HR specialists, training and development specialists, construction laborers, etc. So these are some of the roles or talents which will be decreasing in demand. On the left side, you can see some of the talents which some of the expertise which are increasing in demand. So I think I'll stop here and then we'll take any questions which are there. I think I'm on time. Yes, before time.
Yes, participants can unmute themselves and speak or post their queries in chat box.
Yes, any questions? I think there are no questions.
Okay, I think there are no questions. So shall we continue?
Yeah, you can conclude.
Okay. That was an informative session, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the valuable knowledge that you have shared with us. I sincerely take this opportunity to express my gratitude to you and all the participants on behalf of IEEE Malabar Subsection and IEEE Student Branch KMCT CEW for joining us. I request the participants to fill the feedback form before leaving. Thank you again.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.